And I believe that we are almost live, so I'm just waiting for it to come on. Susheela, just one moment. Oh, okay. Oh, I think we're ready.
Okay.
Title. I'm just going to title it very quickly. Susheela, please tell me how to say your last name.
Ramachandran.
Ramachandran. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
Here we go. Just want to make sure that we're live. It's still setting up. Okay. I believe that we are live now.
Excellent.
So wonderful, especially because IT is not my thing, but I am very happy and grateful for all of you who come to this Facebook Live. This is actually my first Facebook Live, and I'm doing a segment called Remarkable Humans, Extraordinary Visionaries. And I'm Lisa Casenti, if I didn't say that already, new to doing Facebook Lives, and I am very honored to be here today with a remarkable woman and entrepreneur that is my new friend, Susheela Ramachandran. And you may have to help me. Ramachandran?
Ramachandran. Close.
Ramachandran. And before I go into introducing everything that is just so wonderful about Susheela, I would like to introduce some of you to me and part of why I'm doing this. So I'm Lisa Casenti. I am a single mama of a very sassy 3-year-old. And I am also a breast cancer thriver, and I'm a new entrepreneur that I'm very, very grateful to be. As part of my health journey, I came to discover something that was extremely impactful in my health journey. So it empowered my body and my mind, and it also empowered me in that it gave me the ability to create an income for myself and my daughter in a better way than I could have done otherwise. So now I'm still on this journey of entrepreneurship. I am loving it. And what's happening is I am connecting with amazing, wonderful entrepreneurs like Susheela. And what I want to do is honor other entrepreneurs, support them, collaborate with them, and just let the world know that there are amazing people out there who are doing wonderful things. And Susheela is one of them. I feel blessed and honored to have met Susheela. We met at a virtual networking event. And from when I very first saw her in that breakout room, there was an energy about her that just made me want to get to know her. And I believe that she felt that too. So we ended up connecting and having a one-on-one. And I told her that I would be honored if we could do a platform like Facebook Live together so that she can share what she does and how she makes an impact on this world. She's also launching a very important project. So with that being said, I would like to give a little introduction, additional introduction. letting people know that Susheela, you are a gifted, intuitive channel, a sound healer, and you do something remarkable with play where you are empowering entrepreneurs from all walks of life and people from all walks of life, but to find that balance of play and empowerment and voice in entrepreneurship. And you've launched a program that we're going to talk about that's going to begin very soon called the Divine Feminine Playground. So I will let you take it away. And I would like to ask you, how did you come to this journey of entrepreneurship?
That's a fabulous question. And what an eloquent and beautiful introduction. You're such a beautiful person. So I'm so happy to be here with you. Yeah, so how I came to entrepreneurship, it started really young, actually. I think my I grew up in a household where my mother was a force, and she was the one who would always gather people and kind of always be someone. I just grew up around her and seeing her take initiative and constantly take initiative and keep pushing boundaries. So I think my mom was a major influence on that in that front. She raised me to be a very independent thinking and very persevering person. And it's interesting, in middle school, she put me into a business and technology school. It was like a private school. I didn't know what I was in for when I came into that program, but I think that planted a seed of entrepreneurship. Um, I think where it really started was I was 16. I found out about the HIV/AIDS pandemic and the global community, and it just lit a fire in me to start doing something about it. And I started doing fundraising, and I started all these community initiatives, and then after that I just got hooked into starting and creating things, seeing where the gaps were in the things that were really important to me and doing something about it. So entrepreneurship has been a part of my life since I was in my teens. So that's always kind of just how I've operated. And I've tried, I can work for others, and I have worked for others, and I'm still friends with actually one of my former bosses, but I've never been able to, I just can't stop. I'm born an entrepreneur. It's like, while working for someone else, I could do it. There's always another part, but there's always a feeling that that's not really what I'm meant for, that I am really meant to be a creator, an active creator in the world. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Susheela. And I think it's that energy, that creative energy that you have. You're always, since you've been young, you've been creating things to do, and you're on a mission. And how amazing that when you were 16, you were drawn to the HIV pandemic, and here we are faced with another pandemic.
Right.
And part of why I thought it was so important to bring you on is because I do think that you can have a big piece in giving people hope restoration. And we'll talk about that a little bit later, but you shared a story with me, and I think that it will give hope to a lot of others. So I wanted to also ask, so it's very interesting. So you talk about being a gifted intuitive channel, and you also talk about being a sound healer. And there's other things that you are doing. And I really feel that you are a true visionary. But can you tell us, what does that mean? What does an intuitive channel? What does that mean
Yeah.
to you?
Yeah. So basically, for me, an intuitive channel means that I'm able to receive information that goes beyond my five sensory knowing. And so here's how I here's how I see the world. So I see that we're all energy. Like we're all made of the same substance, just in different configurations. Like we're all made of the same stuff. And with that, I believe like we're all interdependent. We're all connected, right? And within each of our structures, though, we have this muscle called intuition, where we're able to sense things beyond that sense things that go beyond our like five senses, right? It's like that gut feeling that it's like you seem to know things that they're gonna before they happen, or you can sense like, okay, like this person's not the person for me to hang around with. This is a yes. Like it's just that inherent feeling. So, and we all have that. And I believe that I've just had the capacity to exercise and build that muscle enough where I can receive or have access to a greater spectrum of information beyond just the day to day. So I can receive information about what someone's gifts and without them having to tell me anything, like what their gifts and talents are, what things have happened in their past, um, any current afflictions they may have. So it's basically being able to receive information that goes beyond the five senses. I feel like that's the best way for me to articulate what it means to be an internal intuitive channel.
Thank you. So going beyond the five senses, and you talked about that we all have this muscle, we all have this intuitive gift. And why do you think that some people are able to tap into that and yet others aren't?
That's a great question. I think there's multiple factors for that. I think on the one hand, there is I think we're all configured very differently. I think we're supposed to be a spectrum. I think, the way I experience intuition is going to be very different from what you experience intuition. I believe that whatever we receive through our intuition is actually a part of our soul's path and our soul's journey. So if someone were to come and do an intuitive reading with me versus you, they might get totally different information, because I believe it's all based on our soul design. I believe we each have a unique design, and our intuition receives information that will support us in our own personal journey and development. And I believe even the clients that I receive, I believe we're meant to be working together. That there's something about what I'm able to receive that's medicine for them, versus the people who are attracted to you. There's something that you have within you that's medicine for them. So what I receive and share is going to be different. It's going to be experienced differently from what you would receive and share. So that's one piece. And then I also think, there's, I think, I don't know, I actually think it's soul design mostly. And I also think it's trauma as well. So trauma being where we have been, when you experience enough, when you've grown up in an environment where you're unable to process emotion and release stuck emotion, it can actually disconnect you from your intuition, because intuition is feeling based. Intuition and when you have a lot of blocked energy or emotions in your body, because it's not been safe for you to express those emotions or process those emotions or release those emotions, that can also cause a disconnect in your intuition. So I think those are the two main things that I would say in terms of why. Yeah, so on the one hand, I think we all have a different expression of our intuitive nature based on what our soul journey is and what we're here to learn and experience in our current incarnation. And then the other piece I would say is trauma, because when we're not able to process things, and when we're told certain emotions are bad, we tend to stuff them down. But where do they go? They stay in our body. And then that disconnects us from our inner self, our inner knowing. And so we look more to the outside world because our intuition is in our inside world, our access to that as well.
It's amazing. I love everything that you're that you're saying and talking about, this is all, I think I told you when we had our meeting probably a week and a half ago, that
Yeah.
it brings me back to when I was a child or younger. And I was very interested in people that had an additional sense. And at that point, I was referring to it as ESP, or extrasensory perception, and how did people come to have these gifts. So do you, I know that you also do energy work. So if somebody wanted to tap into their intuition, intuitive side, how would you work with them in terms of energy to
Yeah.
allow them to be able to connect with that intuition, and be able to feel those emotions that maybe they've gone through traumas and now they're blocked? So how do
Yeah.
you work with a person like that?
Yeah. So, so what I'm able to do is, using my channel, I can actually channel the traumas that got in the way of. I'm gonna just give me a second. I'm just gonna ask I have like guides. I'm gonna ask my guys to just close my channel for a moment so I don't
Of
see and
course.
feel things. Okay. So because otherwise I'm gonna start processing things for people. So don't want to do that right
No
now.
problem.
But what I'm able to do is channel, like, what are the past experiences or the emotions that are in your body, and I'm actually able to energetically, like, help you pull those out so you can feel through them and receive closure on those experiences, so that that experience no longer runs in your system. And it's almost, and in that sense, you're opening up those energy blockages, and that helps you to tap into your intuition. um and that's what happens to me from my own personal experience. Like, I didn't really look for these gifts. I always say, like, they kind of found me, or I was able to access them after I did. It was really like I came upon these gifts, or I allowed them after a couple of years of doing really intensive therapy work, after just healing all the stuff in my past, or not all, like we're all on a journey, but a lot of the old stuff in my past. And as I kind of cleaned out my system and became lighter and brighter, that's when these intuitive abilities amplified, and they have amplified as I've continued on this path of inner healing and self-healing. So I do the same for others, and help them with that. So that's one side of it. And I think the other side of it too. So there's the healing part, and I think there's also the playful part. So I think creativity taps us to our intuition. I think art making taps us to our intuition, because it all comes from within us, especially when it comes from within us, right? So I think anything that really supports you to come into your inner world and not kind of rely on living externally based, and really moves you to come inside, is also another way to really help you develop your intuition. So I think that those are the two worlds I play in supporting people to build their intuitive abilities.
So Susheela, couple of follow-ups in response to what you just said. One is that it's interesting that you talked about intuition and relying on what's internally and not externally, and using the creative mind. And when I think about children are so much more intuitive. They accept whatever it is that comes their way. And I think I shared with you, my daughter is just 3, and she's experienced loss as a little one. And one of the losses was our dog Marley. And she sees him. She sees our cat Nikki that has passed. And I never question it. I embrace it, because I don't want to squash that intuition. I don't want to squash those gifts. And I love that you talk about the need for creativity and play as a way to bring the intuition in, because I think our kiddos are innately intuitive. Um, how how do you think we can support that in a healthy way?
Yeah, I think, so yeah, definitely supporting them in their art making and in experimenting, um, helping them, like telling them that it's okay to feel everything, like to embrace all the feelings. And because when they allow themselves to feel everything, then it just processes out. It doesn't get stuck in their body, and that keeps their channel open as well. And then it also builds their resiliency to keep trying things, and it builds up their own bravery and their own courage to just trust themselves. So I think those are the key things, to really supporting a child to develop their intuition, and also validating them, and also validating and celebrating, and celebrating them on a regular basis. Um, because again, listening to your intuition is so much about confidence and trust, because it's trusting more on the things you can't see than the things that you necessarily can see, like beyond the five senses, like I was saying. So I think those things are really key in this, supporting a child to develop their intuition, and to continue trusting it. So I'd say those are key.
That's those are words of wisdom just to the parents out there, for them to just not be afraid when their child comes to them and says something that maybe they can't explain or don't understand, maybe to just validate what that child is seeing, feeling, whatever it is. Because if we can help to foster their intuition, that will help them to make better decisions, make more meaningful connections, can help
Yeah,
to grow. So
yeah,
that's beautiful.
yeah. Yeah, like the other thing that just came to mind, it's also really helpful to, as a parent, to maybe be connected to other spiritual guides and healers who know this work, and they can also support the parent in having the languaging and understanding for themselves as to what the child might be experiencing as well.
So
Community,
say that again.
community.
Community.
Yeah,
Um, I that may be a project for you to do in the future, to just help parents to regain their intuition so that they can help their children. I know that that's something I really want to foster in my daughter. Something else that came to mind when you were talking about energy work and you were talking about blockages. As you know, I went through quite a health journey, and I do believe that it was because of things that had happened in my past and that I bottled up and did not completely deal with, that helped to create that perfect storm in my body. So what would you say to others if someone came to you and they had a health challenge? How would you be able to work through and help them, not only doing your energy work, but I know that you do vibrational healing as well, so sound healing. So
yeah.
just maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, like obviously, I'm not a doctor, nor can I guarantee anything. But there's a couple of things when it comes to like a health crisis. I think actually, when you're in a health crisis, that's when listening to your intuition is probably the most important thing, because your body knows what it needs to heal. I truly believe that. Um, like for example, I had hypothyroidism a couple of years ago, and I and it was gone within a year. I only had to take normally these are things that, it's a chronic condition, like you're on medication for like the rest of your life. But within a year, I was off, because all I did was I just continued doing my own inner healing. Um, and so anyway, so if someone comes to a health crisis, I think there's a couple of things. Like one piece that I really assist people people with is how they meet challenges, like their inner conversation about what is occurring. So to put them in a more empowered state in how they meet whatever comes, whatever they're presented with. And then with the sound healing, it's really about calming the nervous system. It's really about helping to begin shifting whatever some of those energy blockages that may be contributing to the health crisis, to help start dissolving those. And then with the intuitive work is also dissolving the past traumas and helping shift that. So it's on multiple levels. And I haven't done too much work in health, like specifically working people who are going through a health crisis, but from the little bits that I've done with sound healing, especially with I have been, like friends have come with headaches, and then within a few minutes it's gone. Friends have come with like bad stomach pain, and like within a few little bits gone. So I'm seeing if I were to, integrity is like one of the biggest values. So I'm just like, I haven't worked with people in like a really substantive health crisis, but the little bits of where people are going through things or experiencing little bits, I've just noticed that when I do a sound healing or help them with that, it actually shifts. So
yeah. I love that. Music in my life, it's always been in my life since I was a little girl. Music has been so important, but just I know that there are certain vibrations that come with certain sounds. There's certain things that even with my daughter, someone's voice and probably your voice could just be can have an impact. And I just love that everything that you do has to do with energy. So I think that's amazing. A couple of other things that I really wanted to ask you is, being that you have these gifts, and especially being the intuitive channel, how did you, when you first learned that you had that gift, the intuitive channel, how did you cope with that? Or how did you learn how to, like you just talked before about telling your guides to close, I think you close the channel. So you have the ability to rein things in if you need to. But in the beginning, I'm sure that that's not an ability that you had. So what did you do in the beginning? How did you learn how to be able to have some control over it?
It's so interesting. It's not something I consciously thought about. I mean, for me, my commitment was to constantly do my inner work. My commitment was to just consistently be on my self. I won't even call it self-healing. I'll call it my self-liberation journey. I think that's way more empowering. And luckily, I feel like my gifts developed over time, so it wasn't overwhelming. Like I know for some channels, it would open and be like super and they'd be constantly receiving data and they'd have to like consciously close. I never really had too much of that experience. It's like my channel is something I can kind of turn. It's kind of just what's there, but I can like turn it on and I can turn it off. So unless I'm like, okay, I'm in a session now, then I'll turn it on. But otherwise, it's normally off unless I'm supposed to receive something. But it's really interesting because I think earlier when I was speaking to you or talking about my work, I could see that I was going to possibly start maybe shift some energy. But I'm like, oh, this is not what this is. But I don't know. It's everything. It's so funny how I even developed my gifts, how I even learned how to wield my gifts was just a process of surrender, of experimentation, of learning based on just other people. I never really sought a mentor, but I would always be guided to people who would support me in my journey. So yeah, it was honestly just learning through other intuitive channels and what they were doing, but mostly it was just continuing to just listen to myself and also just surrender. Like I think I definitely have thresholds of, and it's really interesting actually. Right now, what I'm really releasing is, or what I'm working with, is my relationship to pain. But even with that, I think I've always been. I don't know if maybe this is just coming from the background and the things that I've experienced in my life, but I think I have a pretty high tolerance for discomfort. Um, and so I think that too, like I'm good at really surrendering to discomfort and not looking to fix it all the time. Sometimes, yes, but I think I still have a pretty high tolerance for it. So I think it's also that I was just totally okay with the whole process and not knowing. And there was some part of me that would just know that I would figure it out. And so yeah, it was just a very intuitive process for me in terms of the development of my gifts. And I would seek help when I felt I need it. But so much of it has just been listening to myself, and because I think everything we need is within us. And so if we can just allow it to unfold and be with the process of our own unfolding, we'll always receive what we need.
Wow. Okay. I love that you were you were guided. You were guided to the people that you were meant to go to if you needed any guidance. However, it seems like you learned about all of this on your own and you accepted it. So what would you tell someone that might be out there listening, that they're experiencing a similar gift, but for them, instead of them accepting it, maybe they're a little bit afraid? What would your recommendation be to them?
Seek a mentor, seek a guide, seek a mentor, surround yourself with other people who are, yielding, like actively using their intuition and practicing it, and get them to support you in understanding it and developing it. Um, yeah, that's what I would say about
So,
that.
and how would they find a mentor? I mean, of course they can reach out to you and you can help to guide them, but otherwise, how would they know how to find someone?
So I mean, there. That's a tricky question, because I think, the first answer that popped into my head was like, there are so many people practicing intuitives and psychics and all that jazz. But then I stopped myself, because I was like, you want to find the right person, because they're like, I think this is where you just have to. There is no way, like you have to just trust. Like you have to, like maybe you do Google search and be like intuitive guide and see who pops up, and then you get on phone calls and you get a sense for like what feels good, what doesn't feel good. But it's a process of experimentation. It's the process of play. I think sometimes we can get a little bit too serious about all of it, but it doesn't have to be. So I think it's also like go to like spiritual gatherings or spiritual events, and just see just see who you feel called to, or who you feel magnetized to, and trust that. And that's that's personally how I found my people and how I found my tribe. But yeah, and then also just put out a call to the universe, be like, hey universe, I need to find somebody that's going to help me figure this stuff out, and see where life leads you. Like I met my spiritual life coach, my first life coach through his son, who I met at an event about like education. Like it wasn't even spiritual based. We just started talking, and I started talking about some of the things I was going through. He's like, oh, I think my dad can help you. And I didn't know what a spiritual life coach was. Like, I was like, okay. And that's it. So I think there's an element of surrender, and there's an element of discernment. But yeah, I find spiritual events might be a good starting place, a starting point to kind of just start exposing yourself to different communities, because it took me some time to like find my people and find my tribe. But it's a journey, it's an unfolding. So yeah.
But that's excellent advice and guidance right there, because I'm sure that there are people that are out there that are struggling with their gifts, and and it's hard to share with others if they don't quite understand. So
Yeah.
putting it out there in the universe, why not? It's definitely a wonderful idea. And I want, actually, what I'd like to do, I have, two more questions, but one really has to do with the launch of your new platform, which I think is amazing. And it's called the Divine Feminine Playground.
Yeah.
So tell us about it. And also, please tell people, I posted that you were doing an experience basically, I think 6:30 Eastern time. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's
So
correct. Yeah.
I posted that for
Oh, thank
people
you.
in case they fall in love with you like I did and they want to join your event. But
Yeah.
so tell us about that and when it's
Yeah.
going to begin and all of that.
Yeah. So I so my way of operating in the world is through the feminine. And feminine energy is the energy of surrender, it's the energy of intuition, it's the energy of receiving, it's the energy of flowing, it's the energy of embodiment, of play, of curiosity. And what I was seeing in the world, was that so many people we're in a hyper masculine society, in that like everything is very externally based. Everything is based on what we can see, what we can do, what we can like. And what can happen then is we can become very disconnected. Like we could be doing all the things, but not really experiencing the life that we really want. Or for business owners, the business we really want. And it was so funny because how I created my business and my life was just simply through letting go and just listening to myself, and following my bliss and following my intuition and following my instincts. And through that, so much magic has occurred. So what I wanted to do was, so I decided to create what I wanted to do. One was, like, many people were coming to me to learn about the feminine and feminine energy, because that's just naturally how I generally move in the world, very like feminine oriented. And you need the masculine as well, but it's just right now in the world's very off balance. Because otherwise I wouldn't do anything. I would just be flowing and not have events and not show up to things. So, but I decided that I wanted to help people experience the feminine in a playful way, because I find play is one, we're really lacking play in today's world, just in my own personal experience, play is how I created my business. And when I play, that's actually when my business thrives. So I wanted to bring those elements together: play, learning about divine feminine, and also to help people who are interested in creating like a business that they really love. So through that, I created the Divine Feminine Playground, which is going to be, so I'm launching it as a 3-month program where I'm going to be taking 12 intuitive business owners through a journey where we're meeting 90 minutes a week. And I'm going to start with the sound healing, because the sound healing grounds everybody into their body and into their inner self. And then I do a 30 to 45-minute play experience where we look at one of the principles of the feminine energy and our relationship with the feminine energy. So, for example, receiving, right? So in order to thrive in business, we need to be able to receive. So we'll be exploring exploring and transforming. That's also important. Exploring and transforming our relationship to the feminine, and then looking at how can we bring into our life and business to help us thrive. So that's how it all. So yeah, it came together just from one, my own passion and my own knowing of how powerful the feminine energy is and how underrated it is. And also my desire for like play and curiosity and just my own lived experience of what works, and then smushing it all together so I could give other people the opportunity to explore if that would work for them too. Because many people tend to live in a very masculine way and it doesn't work for them. So I'm like, so why not try the way of the feminine and see what happens when you step into that. That's the playground. That's the playground experience. experience?
It's just, I love how you describe it. It's just, I want to jump right in there and do it because it's creative. It's role playing, it's finding your voice, it's finding language, even receiving. So many of us, and I have to say, many women, we
Yes.
have a very hard time receiving, accepting compliments, accepting help, all of that.
Yes.
We deflect it. So I think that that's a beautiful thing that you are letting or encouraging, facilitating for people to do this in a safe space like this, and a fun and playful and creative. So
Yeah.
so you're basically doing a session at 6:30. Is
Yes,
that
I
correct?
am.
So I
Yes.
shared 6:30 p.m. Eastern. I
Yes.
shared that link. And then if someone wanted to join your 3-month program, what would they do?
They would just reach out to me, just send me a message, and we would hop on a call, and I would just make sure that it's a good fit for you, and it's something that will align for you, and then share with you the details, share with the investment, and if it's a yes for you, then you're in. But yeah, I'm curating the community just to make sure that it's aligned for them and it's going to be supportive for them. So yeah.
Okay, so they can connect with you at www.susheela.co.
That's correct.
Correct? And
Yeah.
I will make sure that I put that after the video is posted. I will put all of your information, and they can follow you on Facebook
Yep.
or on Instagram.
And Instagram as well. I'm at Susheela the channel.
At Susheela the channel on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
The I think one of the questions that I really wanted to, it's really been something that I wanted to hear you share because it touched me so much
Right.
when we last met. I would like to ask you to share that very personal story that you shared with me when we met, because I think it's so important, especially in this time of how much loss so many people have experienced over the past year. I think that it will help to give hope, restoration, and just some comfort, because that's what it gave for me. So would you be able to share that story here?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Susheela.
So so my yeah, so my mother was had diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2001, and she passed away approximately 4 years ago from the disease. And so I want to ask you something, actually, Lisa, before I kind of like what specifically would you like me to
Oh,
touch on?
sure. Specifically, the story that you shared with me, about your sister's outfit, what she wanted to,
Oh,
and how
okay,
you,
okay,
okay,
okay, cool, yeah, okay,
just,
great, yeah, okay, great. Um, so yeah, so my mom passed in 2017, and it was oh, so crazy. So my sister was in Hong Kong when my mom passed, and she had just came in, and we decided that we were going to have the visitation that day. But one of the, when you have, at least in our experience, in South Asian, in South Indian specifically tradition, there's no specific kind of outfit you're supposed to wear. Well, like a lot of people in the West wear black, like that's not how our rites or tradition goes. So I decided to wear white because in North India, that's what they typically wear to funerals and when they were in a time of grieving. And my sister came to me and she's like, I have no idea what to wear. And yeah, what a question, right? Like, what do I wear to my mother's funeral? Like, not exactly a fun question to entertain. So I was like, I knew that she had a white outfit, so I told her, I'm going to be wearing, something white. Why don't I know you have this white outfit? Why don't you wear that? And she told me, she's like, I don't know where it is. I haven't seen it in like a year. Like, I have no idea. And so I was like, okay, let me see if I can help you look for it. And then suddenly I felt this like really cold kind of air beside me. And no, it was not air conditioning. So when I experienced how I experience spirits, because I do communicate and I can connect with spirits, it's like they're like this cool breeze that's very still. And then all of a sudden I felt this cool energy, this cool breeze kind of like move me into I was on the main floor of the house, move me into the basement, and then it was like moving me, it was like this wind almost. It was actually like it was actually quite strong. And it pushed me to the back of the basement to like a cupboard I had never touched ever or gone into. Opened the cupboard and it moved me to the back of this cupboard where with this white garbage bag, and I didn't know what, I'd never seen it in my life. Take it out, and I just felt compelled to just kind of take everything out, and I did. And at the bottom of this bag was my sister's white outfit. Yeah. So that was yeah. If anything in my life confirmed like my experience and my abilities, I mean, that moment, like, I had no, yeah, you can't make that up. Like, it's pretty incredible.
That touched me so much, because what I got from it was that that was shortly after your mom had passed, she was there with you. She knew what was going on and she guided you. And I think that, if nothing else, that's a big takeaway from what you can give people.
Yeah.
Because we're at a time, like I said, of incredible loss. And if people can take comfort in that, their loved ones, their energy, they're still guiding us, but that we've got to tap into our own intuition and play a little more, be a little freer, be more open, and then we can see the signs and experience them in that way. And I think that that's so beautiful. That is such a beautiful story. It touched me. I kept thinking about it, and I wanted to end on that because I think it's so powerful. And Susheela, I cannot thank you enough for being here and sharing so much of yourself with me and with everyone who is here. And I feel very grateful and blessed to have met you. And I know that this is just the beginning of our relationship, and I feel that we are going to be doing something together. And so I thank you so much. And again, I'm giving you a huge hug.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I wish that I could be there this evening. And I am going to be doing something else, guiding someone in a different way at that time, but I want to be able to come to the next one.
Yes,
I want to remind everybody, so please, if anything that we talked about today resonates with you, you want to connect with Susheela, please, you can go to www.susheela.co, follow her at Instagram, Susheela the channel, direct message her, and certainly if I can help you in any way, you can also feel free to reach out to me. You can direct message me. Let us know what you feel about this platform. I would love to open it up to other remarkable people like Susheela, because we all have gifts in this world and we should be sharing them, especially now more than ever. So thank you. Thank you, everyone. Susheela, any words before you leave?
I actually would love to sing a little before, just a little bit. as
I
a
wanted
treat.
to ask. I didn't
Yeah.
know if that was okay.
Oh, are you there?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
it's totally fine. I was thinking about it. So, okay. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little hope of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
This is beautiful. So you're making me cry, Susheela.
Perfect. That's when I know I've done my job.
I I love it. I could listen to you forever. Beautiful, beautiful. Mwah, blowing you
Oh,
kisses.
much love, of
Much
course.
love to you. Many blessings.
Many
And please
blessings.
let's connect. May you
Yes.
have many, many people in that room tonight connecting with you. You're doing such wonderful work. Thank you for
So much.
everything
Thank
you do.
you.
And what a beautiful human being you are, Susheela.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm really honored that I could be here with you and to just continue supporting you and the light you're bringing to the world. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Much love.
Thank you very much. Many blessings to everyone. Much love to everyone. And until we see everyone again, okay, have a beautiful day, everybody. Thank you, Susheela. Bye. Now I just have to figure out the IT stuff. I
Okay.
don't know if I know how to do it, but I'll figure it out.
Okay, great. All right. Bye for now.